Thank you. Thank you, and welcome everybody. Good afternoon or good morning to all of you from all parts of the world. So I'm very excited to see so many participants from so many different parts of the world. Thank you to the organizers, especially to FAO, who was supporting this webinar through their video conference webinar infrastructure. So thank you very much. The scope of this presentation is to provide you some in-depth information on the biosafety clearinghouse of the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety to the Convention on Biological Diversity. My name is Giovanni Ferraiolo. I'm the program officer at the CBD Secretariat, who is in charge of maintaining the BCH, as we call it, the Biosafety Clearinghouse. So before entering into the database itself, this is what you have in front of you is the entry page, and the address is bch.cbd.int. This is something that has been established since 2001, when the protocol was adopted, and entered into force in 2004 at the first meeting of the parties of the Cartagena Protocol in Kuala Lumpur, 2004. Since then, now we have almost 15 years of work on this mechanism, and this has been improved constantly through all your feedback, all your suggestion, and parties' decision on how to make this mechanism a functional one. Before describing the scope of this mechanism, I think that it's relevant to give just a look at the general objective of the Cartagena Protocol. Article 1 set the objective, and it stressed that in accordance with the precautionary approach of Principle 15 of the Rio Declaration on Environment and Development, the objective of the Cartagena Protocol is to contribute to ensuring an adequate level of protection in the field of safe transfer, handling, and use of living modified organisms resulting from modern biotechnology that may have adverse effect on the conservation and sustainable use of biological diversity, taking also into account risk to human health and specifically focusing on transboundary movement. It's a very long objective, and each part of it make a very clear declaration and statement of how the parties agreed to have a very special focus on the safety of use. The safe use of biotech product is one explicit objective of this protocol. But let's have a better look now to the database that we are maintaining, and in this case to a database that is one of the core structure established by the protocol in order to grant full transparency about any type of decisions and information that our countries are managing about biotechnology. In particular, the mandate of the Biosafety Clearinghouse is to facilitate the exchange of information on living modified organisms and assist the parties to better comply with the obligation under this protocol. I stress the word obligation because what parties agreed in 2001 was that in order to have to grant to each party the sovereign right to decide about the use of biotechnology that they want to do, they agreed to set some obligation under all the parties to the protocol in order for this use was safe, to make the decision on LMO something that could be standardized in a way that security criteria were applied no matter where in the world. And therefore, without prejudice to confidential information, one of the obligations, among others, of the Cartagena Protocol is that each party shall make available to the BCH any information required under the Cartagena Protocol. And there are many of these information. Article 20 set us a long list of information, and all the protocols set up an additional amount of information that should be shared by the party through the BCH. And of course this information can be seen as many, but we try to categorize them into different categories. First of all, the national records. Those information that are property of the country, that are directly focused on the country's activity, and therefore which are under the direct responsibility of the parties. These we call national records, and these information are directly published by the national focal point, that we have one focal point for the BCH for each country, no matter if they are parties or non-parties to the Cartagena Protocol, or submitted by their assistant but then validated by the focal point. So in summary, there is only one person in each country of the world that can submit national record to the BCH, and this person has been clearly identified by the government. In addition to that, we also have other type of records that can be submitted by the larger community, because the Cartagena Protocol insists and stress a lot the participation of the public to decision making and about biotechnology. This we call reference record, may be submitted by any BCH user. That means you can register any of you and submit this information, but this information is then filtered and validated by the Secretariat on the basis of principles that have been indicated to us in the first COP-MOP, that are inclusiveness, transparency, and equity. This means that we make an assessment if this is relevant to biosafety, and we deal with the submitter in order to have the information as complete and transparent as possible before we publish and place it online, available to the rest of the world. Now, what are these information? First of all, the national record, we have several categories of information that are only possible to be published by the BCH national focal point. These are the website, the competent national authorities who have the authority to decide or take decisions on LMO, biosafety laws, regulation, guidelines, regional international agreement. We have the country decision on each specific LMO or any other type of communication or submission from parties and other government to the BCH. We have the risk assessment generated by a regulatory process, and we have a list of experts indicated by government that are shared for the public use, for the use of other government that may miss that type of expertise, and therefore also they report on the assignment when these experts are used. All of these are national records submitted only by the BCH focal point, identified by the government, and without no filter by the Secretariat. In addition to that, we also have reference record, and in this, where everybody can submit this information, we have a capacity building, capacity building activity, needs assessment, biosafety organization, and together with a network of laboratories for LMO detection. We have submission from any type of organization that wants to make some statement public. We have a virtual library where we try to collect as many as possible resources on biosafety. We call it Biosafety International Resource Center, and this is the BERC, where you can search for any biosafety publication that is on public domain. We have BCH News. We have the possibility for independent organization like a research lab or other type of non-governmental agency to submit risk assessment, and of course they are labeled as non-governmental and therefore part of a different process. Also we have a collection of living modified organisms, genetic elements, and organisms to which the information is attached in order for all the information to be indexed and searchable by this type of records. All of these are the category of information that are available in the BCH, and of course the national record, I was saying, may be submitted only by government. Of course, for CBD parties, all national records are mandatory and therefore are part of the contribution that they have, the obligation that they have toward the protocol. But for non-parties, we accept, actually we welcome all this, the same type of information, because national records are information about government, no matter if they are parties or not. Of course, those from non-parties are voluntary and there is no obligation about that. In no way we accept through the national record information by different stakeholders, because those we consider reference records and are validated differently. What are national records are directly published online by the BCH focal point from parties and non-parties. Now, let's see to this slide that is an attempt of the three organizations to place all the information in the same format so that it is possible to make some sort of comparison. As you can see in the legend at the bottom, you have two colors, green for mandatory information and yellow as accepted as a voluntary information. And you can see that all the slide is about green information that are included as mandatory, with the exception of LMO for transit, pharmaceutical, or contained use, that although they are not required under any obligation of the Cartagena Protocol, it's sovereign right of the countries to regulate them and to take decision about them. These decisions, even though non-mandatory, are very welcome to the BCH and are placed by parties and non-parties if they wish so. Let's have a better look at this. Laws and regulation, decision, risk assessment, and all the other national records are the group of category that parties may submit. The intended use of the LMO is for food, for feed, for processing, for introduction into the environment, and if they wish so, for other type of use that are not mandatory under the protocol. What kind of LMO we deal with? All. Plants, animal, microorganism, and any other LMO as defined by Article 3 of the CBB. Why I say so? Because, for example, the last COP in Korea also gave mandate to a group of experts to define what coming out of synthetic biology may be part of the Cartagena Protocol. So any LMO is a subject is part of the BCH. Scale of the risk assessment, we definitely focus on international transboundary movement for intentional introduction into the environment of the party of import. We definitely focus on domestic use, including placing on the market. These two categories require mandatory risk assessment, but also any other type of risk assessment that is generated by national regulatory process is also mandatory by Article 20 of the Cartagena Protocol. So, special interest for this webinar, definitely the national records about the seasonal environmental release, including the field trials. This has been clearly specified by the two COP MOPs, and placing on the market, plus any related risk assessment. These we collect, and they are submitted by the government. Plus, we collect information about living modified organisms, genetic elements, and organisms. All of these is publicly available on the BCH, and can be searched by different grouping, the season, by country, by region, by LMO. You can search by trait, by use, by date, by keyword. You can also browse the outcome of the search that you have done through raw data, grouping, matrix, having geographical map, and you can receive updated by the servers or RSS feeds of the main category or even of searches that you have done on your own. We believe that the most important page in the BCH is the one addressing each specific LMO. Why? Because in one single page, we collect 3 different categories of information. All the technical and scientific information of the LMO, all the decision that countries have submitted on this LMO, and all the risk assessment that countries have submitted to this LMO. This means that for each LMO, you have one page reference, and you have all the information that have been submitted to the BCH on this LMO. We created a barcode system that was recommended to all government by the COP MOP to easily retrieve this page, and we encourage government in using this barcode method in their paperwork so that they can refer to this page when they talk in their paperwork about LMOs. Current status, we have a worldwide open contribution, mandatory for parties, voluntary for non-parties. As of today, the BCH is de facto the largest repository of LMO information with more than 400 living modified organisms, more than 400 genetic elements, and more than 200 organisms, and counting because every day they're adding to. We have financial support to the BCH granted by COP MOP core budget. The BCH is translated in all the 6 UN official languages. So far, we list 376 competent national authorities, who are those that take decisions on LMO in different parts of the world, in 150 countries. We collect more than 1,300 LMO decisions by 46 countries, and more than 1,000 risk assessments registered by 37 countries. Just for the year, since 1 year ago, we have 110,000 visitors visiting the BCH, unique visitors, and we have 300 biosafety related organizations registered with us. This is our word, this is what we do, and in Korea in September 2014 we had the meeting of the parties that requested the Secretariat to continue its collaboration with other biosafety database and platform, including those of the FAO, other clearinghouses, other convention, and the OECD, and also urged all of you parties and invited other government to inform your representative that BCH data can be easily extracted and displayed on your own website. You can contact us to understand how. For further info, the BCH website, bch.cbd.int, the decision of the recent COP MOP are available at the cbd.int/mop7, and you can mail any type of question at the email address bch@bch.cbd.int. I thank you for all your attention and for your presence here, and I remain available for all questions that you would like to ask.